The email hit every inbox at 6 in the morning. Effective immediately, all staff are required to use accrued PTO to cover any hours lost during the server outage. My stomach dropped when I read it, because I knew something my manager did not. He had just activated a clause in the employee handbook that was about to destroy his own department, and he had no idea it was even there. I worked as a systems administrator at a mid-sized logistics company in Ohio. We handled shipping schedules for over 300 retail clients, and our servers ran the tracking software that kept every truck moving on time. That morning, a routine update failed and took the entire network down. No tracking, no dispatch, no communication with drivers. It was bad, but not unfixable, if the right people were allowed to work on it. Instead, my manager, a man named Derek who had been promoted 8 months earlier and loved reminding everyone of it, decided the outage was a payroll problem before it was a technical one. He sent that email forcing every employee, including the IT team who could actually solve the crisis, to burn their paid time off instead of getting paid for the day. He genuinely assumed this made him look efficient to corporate. He assumed completely wrong. I called Derek immediately. My hands were actually shaking a little, not from fear, but from disbelief. I told him I could have the servers back up within a few hours if I could get access and start working right away. He said, and I remember this word for word, "No need, just log your PTO like everyone else, we are not paying overtime for a technical issue that was not our fault." I asked him if he understood what that meant for the outage timeline, since nobody else on the team had server access credentials besides me and 2 other engineers. He told me it was not my problem anymore, and that corporate wanted the payroll numbers to look clean for the quarter, not perfect uptime. I asked him one simple question. If I am on approved PTO, does that mean I am off duty? He said obviously, that is what PTO means, why are you asking me something so basic? That was the exact moment Derek signed his own downfall, because he had just confirmed, in writing over email, that I was fully off the clock and under no obligation to perform any job function whatsoever. See, our employee handbook had a very specific clause about paid time off. It stated that any employee on approved PTO is considered off-duty for the full calendar day, is not required to respond to work communications, and cannot be assigned tasks, contacted for support, or expected to perform any job-related activity during that period. HR had written that policy years earlier after a lawsuit involving an employee who got fired for not answering emails during a vacation. It was meant to protect workers. Derek was about to learn it also protected me from him. I logged my PTO exactly as instructed, then I turned off my work phone, closed my laptop, and went to get breakfast with my wife like it was any other day off. She asked why I looked so calm considering the entire company was probably falling apart without server access. I told her honestly that I had never followed a policy this carefully in my life, and I was almost excited to see how far it would go. My phone buzzed constantly and loudly for the first hour, sitting face down on the kitchen counter like a ticking time bomb nobody in that building understood yet. I did not touch it, because touching it would have meant performing work while officially off duty, and that would violate the very policy Derek forced me into. By 10 in the morning, the outage was still down. By noon, drivers across 4 states had no dispatch information. By 2 in the afternoon, 3 major clients had called corporate directly, furious that shipments were stuck with no updates. Derek tried calling every IT employee on the team. Every single one of us had done exactly what he told us to do. We were all on PTO. We were all off duty. None of us were legally required to answer. One of my co-workers, a woman named Priya who had been with the company for 9 years, actually took a screenshot of Derek's email and sent it to HR before muting her phone completely. She told me later she wanted it documented that he ordered this himself, in writing, before anything went wrong. That screenshot became very important a few days later. By 5 in the afternoon, corporate leadership realized the outage had cost the company an estimated $400,000 in missed shipments, contract penalties, and 2 clients who were already talking to competitors. The regional vice president, a woman named Carol who rarely got involved in daily operations, personally called Derek and asked why the entire IT department was unreachable during a critical system failure. Derek tried to explain that he had told everyone to use their PTO to save the company money on the outage. Carol asked him directly if he understood that meant those employees were legally off duty and could not be required to work. There was a long, uncomfortable pause on that call, according to someone who overheard bits of it from the next office over. Derek apparently said he thought PTO just meant a paid day, not that people were completely unavailable. Carol reminded him that he had a legal team review the handbook 2 years earlier specifically because of a similar incident, and that every manager was required to complete training on it. Derek had completed that training. He signed off on it. He simply never thought it would apply to a situation he created himself. Someone in that meeting reportedly asked Derek why he did not just call in a smaller emergency crew and pay a few hours of overtime instead of forcing an entire department into unpaid downtime. Derek apparently had no real answer, other than saying he panicked about how the numbers would look on his monthly report to corporate. The next morning, I came back to work like normal. My badge still worked. My desk was untouched. Derek was not in his office. Instead, there was a message asking me and the rest of the IT team to meet with HR and Carol directly, without Derek present. In that meeting, Carol asked me to walk through exactly what happened. I explained calmly, no anger, no attitude, just facts. I told her I offered to fix the outage immediately. Derek declined and ordered PTO usage instead, and I followed the exact policy outlined in the handbook regarding what PTO usage means for availability. I even quoted the clause from memory because I had read it enough times over the years to know it well. Carol nodded slowly and thanked me for my professionalism. She said the company takes full responsibility for the outage delay, since it resulted directly from a managerial decision, not employee misconduct. She said nothing about disciplining any of us, because there was nothing to discipline. We had followed policy exactly as written. Derek was quietly moved to a different department within 2 weeks, one with far less authority and no direct reports. I heard through the grapevine that his bonus for the quarter was eliminated entirely, and he was placed on a formal performance improvement plan that specifically referenced the outage incident and his failure to understand basic company policy. The company also revised its outage response procedure shortly after, creating a separate category for emergency technical response that allowed IT staff to be called in and paid overtime during genuine system failures, completely separate from standard PTO usage. Ironically, Derek's mistake led to a better policy for everyone, just not in the way he intended. A few months later, I got a small raise and was given informal lead responsibilities over emergency response protocols, mostly because Carol trusted that I understood the handbook better than most of the managers did. I never asked for revenge. I never even raised my voice during any part of it. I just did exactly what I was told, word for word, and let the policy do what it was designed to do. Priya still keeps that screenshot saved somewhere, just in case. She jokes that it should be framed and hung right above the break room coffee machine, as a permanent reminder to every future manager who thinks cutting corners during a crisis is the same thing as actually solving it. Derek eventually left the company about a year later for a position somewhere else, one that reportedly came with far less responsibility and a smaller title than the one he once bragged about constantly. I do not know if he ever fully understood what happened that day, or if he just chalked it up to bad luck, but every time someone new joins the IT team, I make sure they read that PTO clause carefully, and I tell them the story of the outage that taught an entire department exactly how powerful following the rules can be when the person writing the orders never bothered to read them first.